On June 12, 2011, Dirk Nowitzki led the Dallas Mavericks to a Game 6 win against the Big Three powerhouse Miami Heat. The Mavs were certainly underdogs, and winning that championship would prove to be the crowning moment in Dirk Nowitzki's Hall of Fame career. Let's go back and see how Dirk and the Mavs won their first and only championship in franchise history. After attracting attention from NBA teams while playing in Germany, the 20-year-old Dirk Nowitzki was drafted 9th overall in the 1998 NBA draft. That draft featured all-time greats like Vince Carter and Paul Pierce. Dirk's entrance into the NBA was a change from the traditional dominant big men of that era. Players like Tim Duncan and Shaquille O'Neal were carrying the big man legacy of traditional power forwards and centers like Hakeem Olajuwon and Karl Malone. But Dirk came into the league playing a less physical game than others at his position, demonstrating a unique touch and shooting ability for his size. It wasn't until his 5th season in the league that Dirk and the Dallas Mavericks made their first real deep playoff run, following the 2002-2003 NBA season. Steve Nash assisted Nowitzki, along with Michael Finley, in taking the Mavs to the Western Conference Finals. There they faced the future champion San Antonio Spurs, where they were bested in 6 games. The Mavericks started off by splitting games with the Spurs, and in the second quarter of Game 3, Dirk suffered a knee sprain that sidelined the Mavs' leading scorer for the rest of the series. Nowitzki put up 38 points and 15 rebounds in their Game 1 victory, and his injury essentially eliminated any chance they had at winning the series. 3 seasons later, in the 05-06 season, the Mavs would reach the ultimate stage and compete in the NBA Finals. In the first round of that playoff run, the Mavericks swept the Grizzlies. They then got revenge on the Spurs in the second round. That series went the distance and included 3 one-possession victories, but ultimately, Dirk's 27 points per game and 13 rebounds per game was enough to push Dallas to the next round. In the Western Conference Finals, Dirk and the Mavericks faced off with the Phoenix Suns, led by Dallas's former point guard, Steve Nash, who had just been named the most valuable player for the second year in a row. But in that series, Dirk proved to be the best player on the better team, and the Mavs moved on after a 6-game series. In the NBA Finals, the Mavericks started off well, winning the first 2 games of the series. But Miami came back with force and took 4 consecutive games and were crowned NBA champions. Dirk's numbers dropped in that series, averaging 22.8 points per game on just 39% shooting. The real standout for that series was Dwayne Wade. In just his 3rd season, D-Wade was named the Finals MVP after series averages of 34.7 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, and 2.7 steals per game. But of course, Dirk and the Mavs would eventually have their chance to get back at Wade in the Heat. The 2006-2007 regular season was another special season for Dirk. For the first and only time in his career, Nowitzki made the 50-40-90 club, shooting 50% from the field, 41.6% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. His efficient scoring led the Mavericks to a 67-15 record, the best in the league that year, and Dirk Nowitzki won the Most Valuable Player award. With that historical season, expectations were high, but the results didn't follow. Against the number 8 seed Golden State Warriors, Dirk dropped to just 19.7 points per game on 38% shooting for the series, and the Mavs were eliminated after 6 games. For the next 3 seasons, Dallas had solid 50-plus win teams, but were first and second round exits in the playoffs. But things were about to change throughout the entire NBA. In the offseason before the 2010-2011 season, LeBron James and Chris Bosh joined forces with Dwayne Wade with the Miami Heat. The NBA had seen different types of super teams in the past, but for 3 all-NBA level stars to join forces in their primes set them apart from other team-ups like the Big Three Boston Celtics. With preseason betting odds listing the Heat as the favorites, another Miami championship seemed inevitable. Those same title odds had the Dallas Mavericks as the 7th option. Dallas had a well-rounded team that year. As per usual, Dirk led the team in scoring, but was supported by Jason Terry and Caron Butler's 15 points per game each. Sean Marion, of course, provided all-around depth, and 37-year-old Jason Kidd played an instrumental role of experience as the floor general. The Mavs finished the regular season as the 3rd seed in the West, after a record of 57-25, the Spurs and the Lakers ahead of them. In the first round, Dallas faced the 6th seed Portland Trailblazers, led by Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge. In that 6-game series, Dirk averaged 27.3 points and led the Mavs to the next round. There, they played the reigning champion Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers were seeking a three-peat that year, but the Mavericks made short work of them, beating them in 4 games. In the Western Conference Finals, Dallas then played the young Oklahoma City Thunder, with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. In that 5-game series, Dirk elevated his play, averaging 32.2 points per game on 55.7% shooting, including 2 40-point games. And the NBA Finals were then set, the newly assembled Miami Heat versus the overachieving Dallas Mavericks, and the Heat were the favorites to win the series. The Heat started the regular season off slow and still had a slightly better regular season record than the Mavericks. Miami was the number 2 seed in the East and had 3 All-Stars to the Mavericks 1 and 2 All-NBA selections to the Mavericks 1. On paper, Miami was supposed to steamroll the Dallas Mavericks, but of course that wasn't the case. Dallas lost Game 1, but losing by just 8 points in a game that was close from start to finish while playing in Miami left room for optimism for the Mavericks, and Game 2 would really bring the Mavs hope. In another tight game, Dirk really stepped up. He finished that game with 24 points and 11 rebounds, and with 1 minute remaining and Dallas down by 2 points, Dirk was the one to tie the game.
By 2, a minute remaining, here goes Marion, back to Nowitzki, lefty layup, banks it in, and the game is tied.
And 30 seconds later, who hit this clutch three-pointer to put the Mavs up.
4 shots down the stretch tonight. Terry to Nowitzki, puts up the 3, puts it in! Dallas goes up by 3 with 26.
And even after Mario Chalmers hit a clutch 3 of his own to tie the game back up, Dallas put the ball back in Dirk's hands with 9 seconds left in the game.
7 to shoot, Nowitzki drives with an elite lefty layup, banks it in with 3.6 remaining. Miami out of timeouts.
Game 3 was another close one, and Dirk missed the game-tying shot, leading Miami to take a 2-1 series lead.
On the move, spins left, steps back from 18, hits the heel of the rim, it bounces away, and Miami has won the game.
But again, number 41 would redeem himself, with 24 seconds left on the clock in Game 4.
Down 2-1. Hoping they can close this one out.
Now checks the clock again before he begins his move. 12 to shoot.
And there it is.
Driving right and lays it in. Oh!
Nowitzki doing it again here in the 4th quarter.
Games 2, 3, and 4 of the series were all decided by 1 possession, and in 2 of those games, a clutch Dirk shot made the difference. What makes things more impressive is that Nowitzki began to have flu-like symptoms before Game 4, and even with the series tied 2-2, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade mocked Dirk's illness before the game.
Oh, did y'all hear me cough? I think I'm sick.
But Dirk responded with 29 points and a 9-point victory in Game 5, and Dallas put the Heat away in a 10-point victory in Game 6. The 2011 NBA Championship was special for many reasons. Dallas conquered a newly assembled super team that seemed destined to win, and Dirk Nowitzki won differently than any other team. Recent champions, like the Kobe and Powell Lakers, the Big Threes in Boston and San Antonio, had a formula. Even with a deep team, to win it all, you need 2 or 3 star players. While the Dallas Mavericks had a deep team, Dirk Nowitzki was the only true superstar on the team, but that proved to be enough. In that playoff run, Dirk and the Mavs took down Kobe, KD, D-Wade, and LeBron, facing in one playoff run some of the greatest talent in NBA history. Nowitzki led the team that series and was named the Finals MVP after 26 points per game and 9.7 rebounds per game, and players on the Mavericks fulfilled their roles. The Mavericks held a 26-year-old LeBron to just 17.8 points per game in what was his worst Finals performance ever, including just 8 points in Game 4. At the top of today's game are several European and non-American players who are absolute superstars, whether it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, or Nikola Jokic. Dirk Nowitzki had an undeniable role in paving the way for international players to become international superstars in the NBA. Dirk came into the league with an unorthodox style of play, especially for a big man. From his signature fadeaway to his dominant championship run, Dirk Nowitzki cemented his legacy in NBA history as one of the all-time greats. Thanks for watching Basketball Pantheon.